Here we go again. We're now seeing Russia, North Korea, and Belarus all threatening nuclear war. You've been seeing this a lot lately. It seems like whenever they get into a corner where they feel like they can't get out of, their only ticket out of it is by threatening the world with some kind of nukes. Every single time there's been a red line, every single time there's been something that they are like, oh no, we can't let this happen. They say, oh hey, we have nukes, reminding the world of this happening. Why is this? It's because they're scared. They get to a point in time to where they're at a point where like, look, if this does happen, we're in trouble. So let's just say that we could nuke people, or there's a possibility of nukes. And that's exactly what happened here with the Russian Foreign Minister Lavrov, who we talked about before. He spoke during the United Nations General Assembly just yesterday where he says, I'm not going to talk here about the senselessness and the danger of the very idea of trying to fight to victory with a nuclear power, which is what Russia is. Why come out and say stuff like this? Unless you're painted into a corner and you really truly have nowhere else to go. This comes at a time where Russia, at least Putin, is trying to change any of their doctrines when it comes to nuclear war. They want to make sure that the rest of the world knows that no matter what happens, we have nukes. We could do this, we could do that. And so that's why they keep adding these red lines. And every single time a red line is crossed, nothing ever happens, which is like telling the rest of the world like, hey, look, they're not going to do anything here. And now we're seeing this. The latest one, which Putin announced, says that Russia could respond to conventional missile strikes with nuclear weapons and indicated that Moscow would treat any attack backed by a nuclear-armed country as a coordinated assault, meaning that they were a part of it and now we can use nukes, which is not the way it works, since remember, Russia is getting weapons from North Korea and Iran, plus add in the fact that they're getting parts from China. And China can't say that they're not doing any part in this because there have been so many links into which China is selling parts separate, and like right over the border, Russia's just rebuilding those things. It's like giving you a jet, but I take it completely apart, then ship it, and then give you the instructions to build it again. This also comes at a time where Ukraine is shopping around their victory plan, in which Lavrov says that their peace formula is a doomed ultimatum, which makes no sense because the alternative, which was just Russia just telling Ukraine, we're taking all of your land, you can't join NATO, you have to pretty much dissolve most of your military, which you invaded, you're not doing well, and you're making demands. No, that's an ultimatum. I think maybe you don't understand what that means. I believe that all this is coming forward because Russia is scared that the West is going to give Ukraine any kind of permission to use long-range or medium-range missiles or bombs inside of Russia, and Russia doesn't really have the air defense systems right now to stop it from happening, which does illustrate that Russia is scared of those red lines, one of which will be crossed very soon, and they have no way to respond, which is why they're saying we'll send nukes. Interestingly enough, Zelensky's spokesperson said during an interview that Russia would be the first to know if restrictions on long-range attacks were lifted, meaning that there will be no announcement. The only announcement will be explosions inside of Russia. And I do want to read his quote for you because it's pretty badass, in which he says, first, it is important to understand that the first to learn about the authorization to strike deep into Russian territory will be the Russians themselves. Russia isn't the only country right now that is threatening some kind of nuclear war in a way. We saw Lukashenko talk about it with Belarus, but we also have North Korea, who stated that the U.S. military aid to Ukraine is an incredible mistake, adding that it warns that it risks sparkling nuclear conflict with Russia. Kind of echoing exactly what Putin is saying the other day, in which if you give them permission to do X, Y, and Z, well now Russia, they have nukes, and well, this could start a nuclear war. Funny enough, we're actually getting quotes from Kim Jong-un's sister, Kim Yo-jong, who stated that the United States and the West should not dismiss or underestimate Russia's serious warning. They are truly prepared to face the consequences of recklessly playing with fire against Russia and a nuclear superpower. Which is just like, okay, so we had Lukashenko now saying nuclear war. We had Putin saying nuclear war and Lavrov saying nuclear war. And now you're having the North Korean leader stating that, hey, yeah, there could be a nuclear superpower fight. I, once again, am a big believer right now where Russia is behind. Ukraine has destroyed so much ammunition where right now on the battlefield you're not really seeing it. It's going to take about 2 to 3 weeks because of supply chains. You're seeing that. You're seeing Ukrainians doing really well in Kursk, even though Russians are moving forward very slowly in Donetsk. But Ukrainians have destroyed so much ammunition, so many bridges, so many ways that Russia is able to move things to where in 3 to 4 weeks we could see a major slowdown. And to be honest with you, the more and more you look at this, you're seeing that all of the Soviet-backed leaders, whether you're talking about North Korea, Belarus, and Russia, they're all coming together and just like, hey, we have a major problem here. All of our oil is getting destroyed. We can't make money there. Our ammunition that we just spent all that money on is all getting destroyed. And the way that we transport this stuff is also getting destroyed. We have a major problem here and we can't figure it out. And they're maybe getting to the point to where they're getting extremely confined. And they're like, we have to do something to get out of this, which is why they all came together and said, well, let's just talk about nukes again. That seems to work every single time. But not this time, because it does look like the United States is giving Ukraine something in forms of medium-range guided bombs, which should be in Ukraine pretty soon. But that is also something that does come with a lot of strings. We don't know if that belongs into the category of you could use this in Ukraine only, or you can use this inside of Russia. While at the same time, Russia is using guided bombs almost every single day. For example, today in Zaporizhzhia, Russia had used guided aerial bombs to target several residential buildings. And at this very moment, as of 10 a.m., this is local time here in Ukraine, there were 11 people, including 2 men and 9 women, that had been severely injured after Russia decided to put these guided bombs into residential buildings. Now remember, they're guided bombs. So Russia can't state, oh, we didn't mean to hit that building. Oh, that was a military base, but no, it wasn't, blah, blah. Nope, it was a residential building. And they guided the bomb into that building. Now, the Zaporizhzhia governor did state that the city was targeted several times and that several buildings caught fire during the attack, which also destroyed a high-rise and several residential buildings, and that more people were still trapped under the rubble, which means that right now there could be several dozen, maybe even more, that are either injured or taken out that were just civilians that Russia had targeted. All of which are things that Russia does on the daily. I mean, Zaporizhzhia is very close to the front lines, and Russia is tormenting already people in Sumy and Kharkiv, and of course now in Zaporizhzhia, because they know they can't move forward. It's the same thing with putting these drones in the sky. They sent several dozens last night, and I almost feel like Russia is only doing that just to cause mental harm to people, because of course every time these go off, the air raids go off, you have to go downstairs. They're purposely just trying to tire people out, but Ukrainians are strong. They're not going to take that BS. They'll continue living their lives every single day. That's actually one of the reasons why we're here in Ukraine. It's so that we can document every single day life, because even though Russia is doing this every single day, Ukrainians still have to live. They have to go out. They have things they have to do. There's still celebrations. People are still getting married. Unfortunately, there's funerals. Ukrainians have to live their lives. And so we're documenting that right now on our YouTube channel, Joey Contino News, and on our TikTok channel. So if you want to go ahead and subscribe to this channel, I greatly appreciate it. If you want to become part of our subscription service in which we give you guys behind the scenes stuff, you can do that on TikTok. It's like a cup of coffee every single month. But that is the news for today. Obviously, it's still early in the morning here. There's still a lot that could happen. I'll be sure to keep you guys updated on everything, so be sure to follow me for more.